Hello there everyone and welcome to a new review on the channel, and today we're going to be looking at a very new product, and that is My Opener by Jean-Pierre Vallarino, published by Illusionist and My Magical Project. This is an interesting take on the kind of, open prediction plot. It's a very interesting take that personally I feel misses the mark on a lot of stuff and is not a very fun or interesting way of doing the plot. Unfortunately, Jean-Pierre Vallarino has a lot of really good books, effects, and is such a great performer that I think that this just I can't see how and when he would ever use this compared to other things that he could do. So because of that, this is not going to be necessarily the best and most positive review, as most of mine are. And yeah, you're going to see why. So let's roll the intro and get straight into it. Perfect, so decide to stick around, which means you want to learn more about My Opener. So what is My Opener? My Opener is essentially, as we said in the introduction, an open prediction effect, which means that you're going to take a card from a different back, place it in the box, a card is selected, and then the card that you placed in the box and the card that is selected will match every single time, okay? And I think the best way for me to showcase this is to actually do a performance. So first you're going to remove all of the cards from the deck, and you're going to place your box to the side. You're then going to show your spectator that in this deck, every single card is different. And I know the camera may not pick that up, but every single card is thoroughly different. That can be shown. And then you also show that you have one card that is different in this deck because it has a red back. And you're going to take it and you're going to place it inside of the box for later. You then proceed to tell your spectators that you're going to go through the cards just like this. And at any point that they want, it's thoroughly a free choice. At any point that they would wish, they can tell you stop. So you're just going to go through, and at any point they tell you stop, and I won't even be looking. I'll turn away and I'll just stop at a random spot. Let's say we'll stop here, okay? And that was a fully random choice. You ask them, do you want to go one more, one less? Do you want to stick here? Up to you. Let's say they say they want to stick here. So you say, okay, look, we're going to place this to the side, and you agree. You could have stopped on this card, or you could have stopped on this card. It was a fully free choice where you could have stopped. But you've decided to stick with that card. And you remember, at the start, I placed one card inside of the box, just like this. And you've ended up on the King of Hearts. That was a fully free choice. You ended up on the King of Hearts. And I've placed in the box from the start the King of Hearts, and you can show that is indeed a perfect match, okay? So that is essentially how the routine would play out in the real world, okay? So now that you know what My Opener is, let's talk about the difficulty, let's talk about everything that we need to know about it. But first, where do you buy this? How much does it cost? And what do you get? So you can buy this from illusionist.com. It is the only place that I know it is being sold. I do think it is also available on mymagicalproject.com. I believe that's their website. I'm not so sure, I haven't checked, but it is available on Illusionist. That's where I got mine. It will set you back 29 USD. And what you get with your purchase is this kind of box. Inside of this box, you're going to get all your gimmicks and everything that you need to know, that you need in order to construct your effect. You are going to need to provide your own deck of cards, but apart from that, everything is provided here to you. Now, first, the issues start directly from the packaging, because in the tutorial and on the product page, it says that if you select red bicycle, okay, it means that you will be performing with a red bicycle deck, and the gimmicks that you get should be blue. But as you can see in my case, it says red bicycle, and the gimmicks that I got are red bicycle, so I have to perform with a blue deck. So I don't know if this was misunderstood by the company or the production or whatever, because he says blatantly in the instruction that if you put red bicycle, it means that you will be performing with a red bicycle and the gimmicks that you get are blue, but that is not what happened. So I don't know what's going to happen for you when you order this, but already an issue straight out of the bat, because I perform with red bikes, and for this effect, I have to perform with blue. That's not a major issue, but already when from the start there's already inconsistencies with the product, it's not a good start. Second of all, you are going to have to build your gizmo in order for this to work. And I'm calling it a gizmo because it is so out there. Like, they say this is a new method to achieve this effect, and it is, because I've never seen one. But does it really require for you to build that gizmo to do this effect? Is just baffling to me. I mean, it does work and it does do what it's supposed to do, but you're just like, seriously? So you're gonna have to build your little thing. It's not too complicated. It's gonna take you maybe around 10 minutes to get everything, because you're gonna have to do something with your deck. You're gonna have to do something with your box. You're gonna have to set up everything in order for it to work, for this routine to work. So you're gonna have to build that, but everything you need to build except for, the deck and the box is provided to you. So you have that, which at least is nice, but you will have to do that. Then additionally, what's given to you is an instructional video. You have two of them. One of them is in French, which is 48 minutes long, which is the one that I listen to, which is very detailed and it's very good. And then you have the English one, which is half an hour, which means that things are a bit explained quicker, and there are some things that could be missed. I've personally watched it in French since I do speak French, but I did watch almost half of the video in English, and there is a lot more rigor placed into the French version, clearly because there are French speakers rather than the English version, but you'll still be able to get through and understand everything that you need, even in the English version. So that's everything that's provided to you. Now let's talk about difficulty. So how difficult is this to perform? Overall, it is pretty easy. So the first thing that you may ask yourself is this truly any card effect? And technically it is, because as you saw, the procedure of selection is very fair. The Spectre will say stop at any point, and every single card in the deck is different. They can inspect it and they will see that every single card is different, okay? But there is a trick to it that makes it feel free and clearly is gonna work in your favor, but it is very easy to do. So in order with what you're doing with the deck, it's easy. Then you will, however, have to put in some practice for the box. Now, I got lucky with my outcome and the performance, and I'll actually kind of understood, I set up my deck differently, because I've noticed that if I do something specific, I end up getting the very good outcomes more often than not. I've performed this 4 or 5 times already to test the waters with it, and it has worked. And I found out, as you saw in the performance, I got the really clean version. But if you don't get the clean version, you will have to practice and fumble a bit around with the box in order to remove the card. That's all I'm gonna say, but it will require some practice for it to seem smooth and for it to seem clean, and not like you're, looking for specific something in a box that's supposedly supposed to be empty, okay? So that's something to keep in mind as well. But overall, it is pretty easy, but I would say it is closer to intermediate rather than beginner. Now let's talk about practicality. So practicality, what do you need to carry around with you? You're gonna need to carry around your deck and your box. So yes, the deck is ungimmicked, which means that after this routine, I can now essentially do my favorite ambitious card, my favorite Triumph routine, a Monty routine, anything I want, I can do with this deck. It is a normal deck of cards, which is nice. But you will still need to carry around your deck and this specific box. And a drawback of this is that because of how this works, you cannot have a full deck. So I think I have here maybe 45 out of 52 cards because of how this works. So you don't have a full deck. So even though you have a clean deck, it's not a full deck, okay? Angle-wise now, the effect essentially is 180. This is not something that people behind you are going to be able to see. In terms of inspectability, the box is not inspectable whatsoever. Neither is the card. There is some convincers placed both in the cards and in the box to make everything seem clean and fair, which is nice, but it is not something that someone could take a closer look at or anything like that whatsoever. And additionally, you don't necessarily need one, but the effect works much better on a table, right? For example, he does tell you that if you don't have a table, you can do the selection just like this. So you say, look, I'm gonna go through the cards, and at any point that you want, just say stop, right? He does tell you can do it in the hands, and then you have the box in your top pocket, or you're holding it, or you have it in your pocket, and you do it like that, which is possible. So you don't necessarily need a table, but the effect plays much better if you do have a table, okay? And the reset of the effect is relatively quick. In this moment right now, all I would have to do is take this card, place it back in the deck, and I am reset for my next table if I place everything back in the box. So the reset is relatively quick for the effect. Now let's move on to where do you perform. So where would you perform my opener? So this is something that I would personally not perform close up. I would not perform, walk around settings, anything like that. The only place I would ever perform this effect is in a setting like, let's say, the Magic Castle, where you could actually open with this, you show it, you do the effect, and then you take, the card, you place it back in the box, and you just poof, ditch the box, and you have your deck and you continue your show, and possibly you can just palm the extra cards that you can have, add them to the deck, and then have a fully clean deck and proceed in your routine. That is the only way that I would ever perform this. So it's in a setting where it's a tabled performing setting, where you have your own space under the table, where you can bring things in and out, etc. That is the only place that I would do this. Specifically, I would not do this walk around table hopping whatsoever. Or I would do this is if I'm, someone comes to my house and I want to show them something, maybe I would show them this. But apart from that, I wouldn't perform this cocktail, marriages, walk around, anything like that. I would not do this whatsoever. So having said all of this, let's get into the positives and negatives. And first, what are the negatives? One, already there's confusion as to how this works. If you tick red bicycle, does that mean you're getting red bicycle gimmicks or a red deck? The production of the effect and the actual instructions tell you two different things, so already confusion. Second of all, the gizmo that has to go inside of your box is intuitive, but also why? Just why? I think there's so many better ways of doing this. Why do I need to have a gizmo that makes me remove cards from my box, that makes me have to carry this specific thing inside of this box, that has to be built in specifically this box, that basically makes the box only be usable for this effect, uninspectable, etc. Just why? Okay? Third of all, yes, the effect is very clean, but is not repeatable. So yes, it can technically be repeated, but I would not advise it, which also, if you were to ever use this walk around, it is not enjoyable. And lastly, if you do not get a very good outcome, such as the one I got, you will need to put some practice in fumbling with the gizmo inside a box in order for you to get everything done, okay? Now let's get into the positives. One, I really love the selection procedure. Now that is something that I'm going to use from now on, even with other decks. If ever I want to do a routine such as this, the selection procedure is very, very good. Now that is smart, that is cool, and it is super, super clean and super, super fair. I really like this procedure, and I will be using it for other effects. That is not this, but I will be actually taking that. Additionally, there's also something that you do with these cards that is very intuitive and very fun as well, and that is also something I will be using for probably other effects in the long run if I think of something with that principle, which is very interesting. Apart from that, the instructional video is good. The effect technically does what it says it does, and what you do get is you do get everything, and it's relatively easy to build and to do, okay? But apart from that, now that I've said all this, would I recommend this, and what do I give it out of 10? Would I recommend my opener? And my honest opinion is no. I would not recommend this. I think the only way you get away with this is if you're doing this on TV, or if you're doing this in a, as I said, in a Magic Castle type scenario. This could fly and would work well because it is a fooling and fun effect, right? It is super clean when it works well and in the correct environment. But personally, for most people, I don't think this is going to be worth it to carry around with you for just this effect. So overall, I do not necessarily recommend this. Maybe for some people they will enjoy it, but I don't think most of you will. So overall, it doesn't get a recommended from me, and I'm giving it a 5.5 on 10. It is good, it does what it's supposed to do, but I'm probably never going to be performing this, and it's not something that excited me whatsoever when I received it. So because of that, it's getting a 5.5. So having said that, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, leave them down below. If not, I'll see you on my next review. Have a great one, and bye-bye.